Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Through online.Scott selections here for Friday, December 2nd. For again today's play of the day, quick recap what happened yesterday. We had a loss in the NFL with Nick Folk over 1.5 field goals at even money on DraftKings. Really just been a horrible run of free picks for the last week and change or so, maybe 2 weeks up to this point. But yeah, kind of last night was a perfect summary of that because we witnessed an NFL kicker that we bet on be short from 48 yards out on a field goal, which usually involves either a block or a messed up snap or hold. That was not the case. The snap was perfect. The hold was perfect. There was no block whatsoever. And yet, Folk, if you watch the replay, hit his foot into the turf before he hit the football, and he basically shanked it like a golf shot, and the ball hit the crossbar. So that kind of sums up how we've been running lately. Folk hit a field goal at the end of regulation, finished with one. I'm not going to call that especially a bad beat because if he made the first one, then he might not have attempted the second one. You don't exactly know how the game would have played out. But that kind of just sums it up perfectly how a guy was short from 48 yards on the player that we backed. And that kind of sums up the run for the last week or so. So picked up a loss there and look to snap out of it here on Friday. But for today's play, they're going to pivot and talk about some basketball. Look at a matchup between the Pelicans and the Spurs taking place at around 8 p.m. Eastern time. And for this matchup, going to take something that we have not done yet this season. Going to take a team total. We're going to take the Pelicans team total over 119.5 at minus 120 on BetMGM. Time recording of 1:30 a.m. Eastern time. Couple reasons why I like the team total over in this spot. First reason, San Antonio's defense not good, and it's been especially awful lately as the Spurs have allowed at least 119 points in 7 of their last 9 games, including allowing 119 points in their last game to the Thunder. And the crazy part about that is that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Oklahoma City's best player by a wide margin, did not even play. So the Spurs gave up 119 to basically a bunch of scrubs, or at least the supporting cast for OKC, which just tells you how bad this defense is right now and why the defense is really just in full fade mode moving forward. But the Pelicans did face off against the Spurs in San Antonio a couple weeks ago, as the Pelicans did score 129 points on November 23rd. So we have seen this matchup before, and the Pelicans really did whatever they wanted offensively. I think you should see a similar script unfold here on Friday night. Now, to go through the actual efficiency numbers, the Pelicans are really good at offense, and the Spurs are really bad at defense. Pelicans rank 6th in the league in offensive rating. Spurs rank dead last in defensive rating. And the pace should be pretty good in this game because the Spurs rank 7th in pace. Pelicans rank 11th. So I think you'll see a bit of a track meet breakout where New Orleans should have little to no resistance to deal with offensively, as they should go for 120 once again in this matchup. But one particular area of concern for San Antonio's defense is the paint defense, because New Orleans is averaging 55.2 points in the paint per game, which is the 5th most in the league. Meanwhile, San Antonio is allowing 54.4 points in the paint per game, which is the 3rd most in the league. And in that meeting on November 23rd, New Orleans had more than 60 points in the paint. I don't see that changing in this matchup, especially because of the injury report. Jakob Poeltl, San Antonio's original center, is still out. And they're also going to be missing Sochan, who is injured, who is probably their best defensive player, or at least their most versatile defensive player. So you should end up seeing even less resistance for New Orleans to deal with. And it was pretty much Zion by himself for a couple of games there. However, McCollum is listed as probable. So he's probably going to play for the first time in about a week or two, which should give New Orleans some necessary reinforcements offensively. But Zion really did whatever he wanted against San Antonio in the first meeting, had 30-plus points. We saw it against Toronto. It seems like New Orleans is really leaning into Zion to carry the offense. And with San Antonio's lack of size in the actual paint, I think Zion's going to have a field day in this matchup. I think he'll probably go for 30-plus again. But with McCollum coming back and with this awful defense, I think 119.5 is actually very conservative, which sounds crazy. But the San Antonio defense once again gave up 119 to OKC with no Shai. I do think that the Pelicans should end up dominating once again offensively en route to at least 120 points. Play that once again here for Friday, December 2nd is going to be on the Pelicans team total over 119.5 at minus 120 on BetMGM. Bye, everyone.